Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday we talked about Syeda Fatima Zehra and signs that come with the from Allah and that have appeared for the prophets in the past and that will appear at the time of the Imam when the 12th Imam comes. And one of the reasons I mentioned was because the signs are really important in order to understand what is happening in the world as well as what is the direction that Allah wants us to take. So yesterday I had a conversation with a Muslim brother who was arguing again and again the same thing that I've argued about over multiple times with other Muslim brothers about the validity of the events that surrounded the death of Syeda Fatima Zahra. So I have realized over time that there is no point in arguing with such people, and that's why we have documented all the evidence and other things that have happened. But obviously, there are people, I do understand that there are people who do not understand this or who have been brainwashed, or there. It's very hard to comprehend the people who they revere as the callous to be involved in such a heinous act. So, in order to do that, in order to really understand what happened, I was talking to one of my really close friends, religious scholar, to understand how do we decompose this environment. And again, I'll try to keep this podcast to 5 to 6 minutes. But in order to understand what happened, there are 12 questions that we can understand. And these questions can be divided into the three phases of the life of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra to understand what happened. First phase is about her life before the event. The second phase is about during the event, and the third phase would be after the event, what happened. And these 12 questions are, for example, number one, people who fought with the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These are hardcore companions according to the Muslim brothers. How can they renege or go back on the allegiance or the oath of allegiance that they did in front of the Prophet with Imam Ali al-Salam? Second, was the attack on the house of Syeda Fatima Zahra accidental, or it was pre-planned? It was a part of a plan that was ongoing for a long time. It wasn't like just one day, or there was a plan that was ongoing and this attack happened suddenly as part of that. The third one is as in terms of like Abu Bakr especially, was he jealous with Imam Ali alayhi salam? Did they attempt was there an attempt on the life of the Prophet in order to take the power from the Prophet, or not giving the power to the household of the Prophet as defined and determined by Allah? And then number four, what was the role of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra in the community at the time, as well as number five, which is how did Umar, Abu Bakr, and all the Muslims reacted or interfered or interferes with Sayyidah Fatima Zahra or deal with her during the life of the Prophet. And then we go into the second part, which is about the event itself. So, from the books, not from the Shia books, but from the regular Muslim books, are there narrations that talk about this particular event? And then, what are the sermons and other things that have been mentioned by some of the scholars from the broader Muslim group who talk about this event? And then another interesting aspect is after the event had taken place, what happened about the burial of Sayyidah Fatma Zahra? Who was involved? Who wasn't involved? Did Sayyidah Fatma Zahra stop people from attending, and why was that so? And then the other one, then the next question would be, what was the position of the companions who were present in Medina regards to this particular event? Because that's very important. How did these companions react to the event that happened, and is there any historical evidence on that? Number 10 is um, the people who succeeded in staging this coup and getting the power. Did they change the orders of the Prophet? Did they change the Sunnah of the Prophet, especially these two, Abu Bakr and Umar? And number 11 is, what was the position of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra at the intersection of religion and politics, especially when she was the symbol of the piety? She was the symbol of strength for Ahl Bayt al-Islam. And the last question in this regard would be, what is the impact of our choice or our decisioning or our thought process or uh, our decision on this particular aspect of what happens to the Fatmas, that how does that impact our hereafter? What is the relationship of that in our hereafter, and where we will end up? ultimately the entire series of questions is designed for a particular set of audience. It's not for everyone. It's not for like non-Muslims. It's not for like the entire world, because many people don't even know who Sayyidah Fatima Zahra Salawatullah alaiha. This is very dedicated to a group of people who are Muslims or who are open-minded, not even for the closed-minded Muslims, because they always go back to certain arguments which have been invalidated multiple times. And if someone wants to still invalidate those same arguments or bring those same arguments, I've done a 1 hour podcast which highlights all of those 20-25 different arguments that Sunni or the regular Muslims bring up, so that you can listen to those, you have those in your inventory, so that every time, next time you talk to these Sunni brothers and they bring up their arguments, you can just refer them to that particular podcast, and you don't have to spend your time, waste your time in defending yourself. Wassalamu alaikum. Tomorrow we're going to come back with another discussion.